watching Basement Politics with my dad, Freddie Vasquez.
Freddie wins. Fatality.
Good afternoon, folks. I'm Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics Unfiltered.
Freddie wins. Fatality.
Good afternoon, folks. Happy Friday. Happy Cinco de Mayo. Para todos los mexicanos who will be celebrating Cinco de Mayo today. And everyone who's going to be celebrating Cinco de Mayo today. Cinco de Mayo and St. Patrick's Day are similar in a lot of ways. We are all very similar in a lot of ways. And one of those ways is that we dislike corruption.
Freddie wins. Fatality.
Good afternoon, folks. I'm Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics Unfiltered. How you doing? Hope you're having a good lunch if you're on lunch. I wanted to talk about the IG and the what he had to say in response to Mimi Roca, the Westchester County District Attorney, throwing the request for an investigation into the nepotism here in the city of Yonkers and corruption back at him. That was her easy way out, right? Really quick, I want to talk about the budget of the Yonkers Inspector General. I'm not going to play the entire thing, just want to give you some numbers. It's important we know how much of the taxpayer money is being spent by this office. What exactly is it that they are doing over there? I mean, are they only reviewing vendor backgrounds? That's it? According to Phil Zeisman, the original Inspector General for the city of Yonkers, the guy who wrote the book, there should be an investigation. This isn't right. And he's unsure why an investigation hasn't already been launched.
Brief. It's only one page.
Of the 5 numbers on the page.
5 numbers on the page. He'll break it down.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, sorry. Thank you, Council President. Yes, for this one, it's relatively straightforward from a budget perspective. The budget for the Inspector General's office in the proposed budget is approximately $736,000, or just about $7,000 greater than the current year's budget. The majority of that is the salaries for the 3 folks here.
The budget is $736,000, just $7,000 more than last year. We did a good job, didn't we? And the majority of that money goes to the salaries of the lucky 3 individuals who occupy the Yonkers Inspector General, led by Liam McLaughlin, who's making $193,000. So, of course, if the mayor appointed me the Inspector General and the city council, who was also compromised, approved it, yeah, I would say it's silly season stuff also. He's not going to bite the hand that feeds him, is he? He wants that pension for life.
That the Inspector General mentioned, and the contractual services is for professional fees is the other part for all the outside consultants and the other auditors, and that's the
and that is it. So the majority of it goes to salaries, all of it, pretty much, right? The 3 employees and the outside independent investigators, because, you know, the ones that actually work for the office, they don't really work. It's not their job to investigate. What is wrong with you? We've got to hire people to do that. And so they have done so for the past 2 years, investigating Michael J. Cater, the former city council president here in the city of Yonkers, and spent nearly $800,000 or maybe more. For what? Remember I said this. It will be all a big nothing burger once the elections are over. And so when you realize that that is the case, you should then ask yourself, was Freddie right? Was $900,000, $1 million of taxpayer money wasted simply so the Spanos would not have political opposition from the Cater family and the impact machine? That's wasteful spending, in case you don't know. And that's a big problem. And that's just one of the areas that we see a lot of wasteful spending. And that's something that the Yonkers Inspector General is actually supposed to be investigating. But is he? No, because he himself is wasteful spending. So he merely dismisses the call for an investigation by two groups now, the Working Families Party and Indivisible. But not just those two groups, those are the ones that got the push, but the people of the city of Yonkers have been calling for it for a long time, but no one seems to care. Well, now they will. So the decision by the Yonkers Inspector General to respond so quickly in such a dismissive manner is perfect. I mean, did anyone think he would investigate? You shouldn't be upset if he's not. You should be excited that he dismissed it so fast. I mean, that only proves that he's compromised. I mean, geez, can you take a look at it at least, Liam, for longer than a week? Is that okay? Or do you not have enough staff? I mean, you only have 3 people, right? Maybe you need outside help. But he knows he'll find things. He doesn't want to look. And so he merely dismisses it. So now the people must respond. And how will we respond? Well, to be continued. The Yonkers Ledger, which again I've been supporting and promoting, has this report here. Inspector General rejects call from DA to investigate potential city corruption. Mimi, he rejected your call. Yonkers Inspector General Liam McLaughlin had rejected a call to investigate possible nepotism and corruption in government, calling it political silly season accusations. After an explosive report from David McKay Wilson on April 26 in Journal News, LOHUD, many in Yonkers called for an investigation. Oh, we have been calling for an investigation prior. The report, which was picked up by the New York Post, outlines at least 14 members of Mayor Mike Spano, but we know that that's more, some saying up to 31. The first to call for oversight was the city's original Inspector General and former Board of Ethics member. And I forgot to mention the Board of Ethics was also asked to look into the matter by the Westchester County DA. However, I don't know if we will be able to revive 2 of them. I don't think we've gotten that far in our medical technology and advancement. Phil Zeisman, the original Inspector General and member of the Board of Ethics, in his opinion piece on April 27, Zeisman outlines the duties of both the Office of Inspector General and the Board of Ethics. He ultimately questions the utility and massive budget of $736,000 of these offices if they shun their investigative responsibilities. And I played, the first part of the meeting there, the budget hearing with the Inspector General, and he talks about what they do. He said we had about 48 investigations total. We closed about 40 of them. He had to look back toward Paul Hart to confirm that. But he didn't specify what those investigations were. He never mentioned that he investigates any political impropriety, anything unethical among elected officials, although he spent most of his money, or the money that the taxpayer provided to his office, investigating Mike Cater for quid quo pro, the former city council president. Yet he failed to mention that. And that is why Moranti asked him, what is usually the time frame in which you close out cases? Because the Mike Cater one is still open. And what have you found? Nothing. And what's disheartening is that he passed it off to Mimi Roca, who's now sitting on it. But she will not investigate allegations of nepotism, allegations that have swirled for decades. Decades. The next call for oversight came from local political activist group NYC, the 16 Indivisible. This group sent a letter to Westchester District Attorney Mimi Rocha in an effort to bypass the dormant ethics watchdogs in Yonkers. They're not dormant, they're dead. However, since no exact crimes were defined in their request, the DA sent the request back to Yonkers government and also to the New York State Comptroller, who's already been criticizing the management of our city revenue by the current administration. Yet Liam seems to see nothing wrong with that. Our city council called for an independent audit to look into the overtime and have Liam's office look into that and produce a report. And what did Liam's office do? Well, they went and got some independent auditor, but they weren't satisfied with their report. So they decided to take on the investigation and dig deeper. But they did a pretty good job. He didn't want to knock DeBellio, whatever they called. But the fact that he wanted to dig deeper, he wasn't satisfied, that suggests they didn't do a good job, Liam. Which one is it? But you then said you were pretty much coming up with the same result, which is much ado about nothing. However, all you had to do, instead of waste taxpayer money on an independent auditor, read the New York State Comptroller's reports for the past, I don't know how many years, and he outlines exactly the problem, Liam. But maybe you're too busy partying. Liam, not only are you costing us money, your mom cost the city millions back in the 80s. I mean, it's time to get rid of this group of individuals. They're too costly. They're taxing on the city. The current Inspector General, Leah McLaughlin, whose mom was the head of a coalition to keep the Yonkers public schools as well as housing segregated, was appointed by Mayor Spano. They're good friends. The family goes way back. This isn't about politics. This is about friendship and loyalty. A loyalty that goes above the duties of an elected official and their fiduciary duty to the public. This was shortly after McLaughlin lost his re-election bid to Mike Cater for city council president. McLaughlin's campaign manager, and I didn't know this, manager and sister-in-law to the mayor, was then named executive director of the Yonkers Industrial Development Agency, and he's referring to Jamie McGill Spano. She was Liam McLaughlin's campaign manager, Vinnie Spano's wife. Well, she didn't do a good job as a campaign manager. He lost. And now we're losing over at the IDA. Can't make this up. McLaughlin's response to a follow-up article from David McKay Wilson was curt. He will not commence an investigation into potential nepotism in the Spanos hiring and promotion practices, saying, I have knowledge of civil service law, and among the parties involved, I see no ethical violation. The request from Mimi Rocha's office was also sent to the Yonkers Board of Ethics and the State Comptroller. The Board of Ethics, like the IG, is appointed by the mayor. It meets quarterly and only has 4 of the 7 members defined in the city charter. It has not yet responded to requests for an investigation. Thomas DiNapoli, the comptroller, the state that his office encourages the public to help fight fraud and abuse, states that his office encourages the public to help fight fraud and abuse. As I stated in a conversation with someone earlier today, it is up to the people. And so that is what we're doing. Now the ball is in our court. How will we respond? And we have now learned that numerous locals in Yonkers are following that guidance and will file confidential complaints on this matter, some with very specific allegations. While some, like McLaughlin, may chalk it up to political posturing, this is not the first time the mayor has been under fire for alleged nepotism. In 2018, he was accused of unjustly promoting his cousin in the Yonkers Fire Department. And again, a year later, in the Yonkers Police Department. While there is an election this year, it was the mayor himself who signed a law extending his own term limits to run again. So as a lifelong career politician, Mike Spano knows the scrutiny of the press. And as his father, former Westchester clerk Leonard Spano would reportedly say of his own suspected nepotism, "I'll take a hit in the news in exchange for the 20-year pensions." And that's what it's all about. Robbing the city. Robbing the taxpayers. These allegations are just the tip of the spear. And you are absolutely right. I mean, the real estate racket that's going on here in the city of Yonkers, operating out of Macy, is going to blow your mind. And they're rushing to do all this to cover it all up. They're hoping that they change the landscape of the city, the population, the people who are here. And we forget all about it and we move forward with all these new developments, tall buildings with new people from the city, from the West Coast, from wherever, from Ukraine, from everywhere, from Florida, coming in on private jets into the county airport. And they won't know anything about this. And they would have gotten away with it. Have sold off the city properties, the low-income buildings, to developers for kickbacks, for commissions on real estate transactions, for pieces of businesses. That's what it's all about. Leonard Spano would reportedly say of his own suspected nepotism, "I'll take the hit in the news in exchange for the 20-year pension." That's right, folks. And this is the state comptroller's website where you can go and anonymously file a complaint. And so now it is up to the people. The more noise we make, the more attention we get. Eventually, they will have to intervene. It's an election year for a lot of people. Not just those in the city of Yonkers. Don't forget that. We, the people, are in charge. And they have worked hard to make us forget that we are the ones in charge. Folks, I just want you to meet Waleed. I was introduced to him last night. That's his name, Waleed. Q drop. Number 45. And this is our gracious Westchester County legislator representing District 17. The double dipper. Or the double shot. However you want to describe it. Total of $686,100. And for what? Mr. Jose Alvarado is absent. Mr. Jose Alvarado also was removed from a position in City Hall and I believe sent to the Parks Department because he would arrive to work, according to sources, under the influence of alcohol, reeking of alcohol, spending his mornings at the country club over there in Park Hill rather than in his office, getting smacked. And when you get smacked for a long time, consecutive days, you remained in a smacked position. You remain permanently smacked. We have to get rid of these individuals, people. We have to come out and vote. There's a gentleman by the name of Jose Diaz that is running against Jose Alvarado. Now, which is the better of the Jose's? Well, Jose Diaz is a Republican, and now I'm a Democrat. But I know now that we cannot put any emphasis on what party they belong to, and we must focus on the individual. And Jose Diaz is a passionate man, passionate about change. He's not passionate about making $686,000. He's a family man, a man that has been put through the ringer by family courts and wants to implement change there. So many people here in the city and elsewhere, the county, have had their experiences with family court, DSS, and they know the troubles that exist there. So again, I tell you, screw Democrats, screw Republican, and focus on the individual. The Democrats, unfortunately, are compromised here in the city of Yonkers. They are not for the people. They exploit the people and their most basic needs. And that is how they keep you dependent and voting for them. I grew up very poor, welfare. I was born in a jail. Ain't that right, Joe? And I had to teach myself how to make it through this world. I wasn't provided much, and I don't blame anyone for that. I don't feel like anyone owes me a damn thing. I owe it to myself to make it happen. And yes, we need help. And we take that help and we make something of it. We don't remain in an impoverished state. And that's where they want us to be, crippled financially, crippled economically, academically, physically, mentally, and emotionally. Beat down so they then can control the system. Enriching themselves. It's time for change. It's time to educate yourself if you are not a voter and vote. Want more for your community and yourself. And in order to get more, you must get up and get out and vote. And so to the folks of District 16, I'm hoping that you make the right decision this year and vote for Jose Diaz. Yes, I'm endorsing him. And yes, he's a Republican, and yes, I'm a Democrat. But that's the times we live in. Do you continue with the same individual who many of you have complained about, who is a part of this nepotism and patronage system? Same as Liam McLaughlin, his wife, Debbie, who makes I don't know how much money, and everybody else in his family. Jose Alvarado, no different. Every one of them have been allowed to get their family members a job. So as long as they do what they are told. I mean, the inspector general won't even do his job and investigate. They have completely crippled any options or channels to which we can go to complain about this and see an investigation opened up. Same as HR, human resources here in the city of Yonkers. Employees feel that they cannot go to the one channel that they have in order to address any issues they have within their workplace. So what the current administration has done is put people who are compromised in key positions. Making it difficult for anyone to speak out, suffocating the people of the city of Yonkers. But people have found hope. And here we are. And this is just the beginning. And they are laughing. They are laughing now. You're right. But he who laughs now cries later. I'm Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics Unfiltered. Folks, I appreciate you. It's Friday. Happy Cinco de Mayo. Please be safe out there. And to all the city employees, do not take your vehicles, especially city vehicles. Please, guys, get an Uber. Get an Uber, okay? And keep it to a minimum. Let's be responsible out there.
You're watching My Dad Plays Out.
I'm Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics Unfiltered. Folks, I'm going to get into that whole real estate stuff here soon. You know, they're allowing these private investors come in and buy up these properties. saying that they're going to help restore them, and they're not fixing them up. It's all BS. It's just a way to get the properties into these investors' hands. So they use a nonprofit company to do that because they can't just sell it to private investigators. These people are, who are living in it, have financial, hardships, or they rely on assistance, have financial assistance, I should say. And so they can't give it to a for-profit company who's going to jack it up to market rate. So it has to be a nonprofit. And then they use grants and money from the government to do this, to buy these properties, which they then later sell to their for-profit companies to make profits. That's what's happening. Ain't that right, Joe? Joe. I'm up out here. I'm Freddie Vasquez. I'm learning it all. But again, to people who say that I'm all over the place, let me tell you something. There's a lot of shit going on, okay? So it will make you be all over the place, but it's all connected. And I'm working on different things with different people. So I am the common, denominator, or the central point of contact for many people. So I put this stuff out. I put a lot of stuff out, hoping that you guys can maybe get in on it, right? We started, we didn't, it just kind of formed organically, this group of people who now investigate, share information. You want to join? Check out the page. If you see something that interests you, look into it. You find something, email me at politicwithfred@gmail.com. And to the person that emailed me that real bombshell information, and if you're watching, I'm not sure. I'm still trying to confirm it. There's definitely something interesting there. However, I'm not sure what the actual story is. Is it what you said it to be? Or is it something else altogether? But either way, it's interesting. The video you sent is very interesting. It definitely is the individual that you speak of. That's no doubt. But I'm still trying to figure this out. In fact, I'm trying to get some people to go down and see if they can do some investigation on location. If there's anything you can provide me that will make it undeniable, I would greatly appreciate that. And I will hold up my end of the bargain. Absolutely. And I don't want you to think that I'm playing any games, but I have to make sure that people are not feeding me false information in order to discredit me and make a mockery of the show. So I hope you understand that. But again, if you can provide me with something that's super undeniable, I would appreciate that. And maybe, I'm having a little trouble understanding the email because of a language barrier. So if you want, send it in your language. I will still be able to get it translated or get it, someone will read it. So that way I can fully understand this. I'm very interested. I am. I'm Freddie Vasquez, Basement Politics. If you have information, email me at politicwithfred@gmail.com. politicwithfred@gmail.com. If you don't feel comfortable emailing me, you can call my office. If you don't feel comfortable doing that, I can meet you anywhere. But listen, I will always protect you as a source if you're genuine and honest and are not trying to, sabotage what we're doing here. Anyone who has, I've exposed them. Doesn't matter. And folks, this must be done. So come forward. Do not hold the information. No longer are we scared. And there's a lot of us. This corruption must end. I'm Freddie Vasquez, again, Basement Politics, where truth lives and corruption dies. Peace out, folks. Shout out to the Yonkers police. Car 104, where are you? Don't give me no tickets, guys. Come on, man. What's going on here?